When our coach Celine first came to work with us, she told me that she was getting married to this man who had once told her that he never wanted to get married. And so, being the relationship nerd that I am, I went and talked to her fiance at the time because I wanted to know what was it that made him decide to go from this place of never ever wanting to get married ever to anybody to all of a sudden deciding that Celine was the woman that he wanted in his life forever. And so I talked to him over the phone, and he started describing all these things that were happening between him and Celine and how he felt about her. And eventually it all came down to this one thing where he said that he just loved her and appreciated her and connected with her so much that he felt like he couldn't imagine being on this journey of life without having Celine in his arms. And he wanted to show her how much he loved her. And his expression of that was going to be getting down on one knee and putting a ring on her finger and showing her that even a man who said that he was never going to get married would marry her and just show her how amazing and awesome and wonderful she is to him. And so I took that idea and I was looking at all the things that he talked about, and it was very, very clear to me what he was talking about. He was talking about something that I call the partnership principle. And so, what is a man really looking for in a lifelong relationship? Hello, my name's Matthew Coast, and welcome to my channel. And today we're going to be talking about the partnership principle, how to have him see you as someone that he can be with in the far future, how to make him see you as somebody that he wants to be with forever, someone that he can love and adore and cherish forever. So the partnership principle, what is the partnership principle? How do you connect with a man through this idea called the partnership principle? We're going to talk about, there's 4 different elements here that you want to use. Element number one, part one of the partnership principle is having matching values. And this is by far one of the most important things. And it's one of those things that a lot of people, men and women, they seem to, they seem to just ignore or forget. And it's so vital, right? Because your values, the things that are really important to you, that you value really highly, they need to be aligned. Who you are deep down, the things that you value in your life need to be in alignment with each other. So for instance, let's take religion, because this is a big one. If religion is very important to you, to one of you, but the other person is an atheist, that could be a major problem. It doesn't have to necessarily be, but it could be a very big problem in the relationship. And you need to decide whether that's actually a deal breaker or not, and you need to find out from him whether that's actually a deal breaker or not. What are his values? What are your values? Do those values align? And can you guys be with each other for a long-term period of time? Also, he needs to feel like he can live his purpose with you. So purpose is one of the foundational elements of what it means to be a man. I actually had a woman in our community talking about how she wanted to become the number one priority for this man that she was dating because he had to work a lot, right? And she's like, how do I get him to quit his job and, spend more time with me and make me the number one priority instead of his work or, his children or whatever other things he has going on in his life. However, that's actually dysfunction, right? So you want to be in the top 3 priorities. You don't want to derail his entire life and be the only thing in his life, right? What is he going to do? Quit his job and you guys are just going to live together poor? Like you don't want to do that, right? That's not healthy. That's dysfunction. So number 2 is being on the same team. And so this is also another really, really important one because it can completely destroy, make or break a relationship. It can destroy a relationship and it can make a relationship blossom and grow. And so he needs to not be fighting you in order to get his needs met. Sure, there is an element that you want to be investing in each other. You want him to be putting in energy and effort, because that's what makes somebody, that's one of the things that makes somebody value something. But you want it to be easy for him to get his needs met through you, because that's what creates an emotional bond that's really difficult to break. And you also want to make it so that he doesn't need to play games in order to be with you, because playing games it's just horrible and painful. And after a while, it becomes one of those things that just completely destroys a relationship. So if my suggestion is that if either of you needs to play games in order to be in the relationship, my suggestion is that maybe you should find somebody else to be with, because it's just going to turn into a toxic downward spiral into nonsense, and you're going to have to do it forever. And if somebody stops doing it, the power dynamics is going to shift drastically, and then you're going to end up getting broken up with or divorced or whatever the situation can be. And it really, if you're doing that kind of stuff, it's really just a toxic relationship there. And then the next one is that he needs to have somebody that's on his side, right? This is part of being on the same team. So somebody who's on his side, who's going through this challenging journey of life together with him. So you should be the champion and the cheerleader for each other. If it feels like it's you versus him too often, that's a relationship that is doomed for failure. They've actually done research on this. It's my favorite phrase in the world. They've actually done research on this, and they found that if it's the two of you against each other, they can tell pretty quickly how long your relationship's going to last if you guys are constantly fighting each other and it's you versus him. If it's you guys together going towards something, you're far more likely to stay together for the long term. If you're not on the same team, the relationship is not worth being in. Trust me on this. It's a painful thing to have to fight each other. So number three of the partnership principle is he needs to feel like you get him. This is probably one of the least understood yet most important principles that you can possibly learn when it comes to connecting with a man. And it's actually the same with him connecting with you as well. Because when you feel like somebody really gets you, it's like you feel a deeper connection with them. You feel more connected to that person. When a man really feels like you get him, that's a deeper level of intimacy than he will have with 99% of the people on the planet. And so you can have that kind of a connection with a man if you show him that you get him, that you understand him, you see him, and who he actually is, who he really is deep down. So love him for who he is and see him for who he is becoming. That is one of the most powerful. It's such a powerful thing that you can do. It's just connect where he is right now, right? Love him for who he is. One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of women make who come to me is they're like loving a man's potential. They're like, I see him becoming this really successful guy in the future, which is cool, right? And it's important if he's not at a level of success right now, that he has this vision and this purpose and this direction that he's going towards being a man that respects himself, that, you know, you can respect even more. But if you can't respect him right now, if you can't love him for who he is right now, then you probably shouldn't be with him, because it's very possible that he's not going to end up reaching that ultimate goal that he's trying to get to. And so you want to be able to love him and respect him where he is right now. Number four is you need to have likeness. And so the things that we have that are opposite of each other, our differences, are often the things that create passion and attraction between two people. But it's our similarities that help us stay together, that help us grow and stay together. When super couples or also known as couples who do really well together, talk about the times that really bonded them. They talk about the things that they did together, projects that they had together, difficult times where they went through those times together and they came out the other side, shared experiences that they had. It all boils down to this thing that I call likeness. And there are things, like there are things from your past, your present, and your future that you share together, but it doesn't have to be huge stuff, right? So you just want to connect on things. Any things that you have that are commonalities, those are great things to connect with each other on and have those things and make sure, because it's one of those things that can be really, really attractive when you meet somebody that's totally in a different world, right? But if you don't have enough things that are in common, eventually it'll start wearing on you and it'll start feeling exhausting because they're so different. They're in such a different world. And you need to have a level of things that are different, because that's what kind of draws you to each other. That's, one of those things can be the feminine, masculine polarity. But you also want to have commonalities, because that's what makes you feel comfortable. That's what makes you feel stable. That's what makes you feel like things, like you understand what's happening, like you have some sense of control and stability in the relationship, which is really, really important for long-term health. And so it can be anything, right? You can have any kinds of even little things, right? Like just favorite foods, music, or just moments that you're both grateful for. So you build on success. So have things that you already have and then build on those things that you already have. Partnership principle, four parts of it that we're going to be talking about are: 1, you have matching values; 2, being on the same team; 3 is that he needs to feel like you get him; and then 4, you need to have some likeness, commonalities, that kind of thing, things that are in common.